Hey, what's up, Logos Personal Finance students? It is Tuesday, June 30th, 2020, last day of June, 66th day of our e-learning extravaganza. What are we getting through week 4 of term 6? Yeah, we're almost through the 4th week of term 6. I mean, we're getting very, very close to summer break, and I don't know about you guys, but I am ready for a break. We got a little bit more work to do over the next couple weeks before we get there, but I can see the finish line, and I know you can too, so let's just keep plugging away on this stormy morning. One of those days where it's a little harder to get motivated, a little harder to get out of bed, but I tell you what, I'm happy about the rain because my garden has been needing the water, and so this is going to do it very well. I don't have to water today, so I'm looking on the bright side. I'm happy to see the rain. We haven't seen a good soaking rain in a while, and we'll get plenty more sunshine, I'm sure, before it's all said and done, because we're getting ready to move into July. Can you believe it? We're at the end of June. Can you believe this? It was March when we started doing this e-learning thing, and now here we are getting ready to move into July. Never thought I would have made it this far. But it's just because of the hard work of you guys that we've made as far as we have. And let's keep this hard work going. Let's go ahead and get onto our Blackbaud real quick. Take a look at Blackbaud. There it is. There's the class page for personal finance for 5th hour or 2nd hour, whichever one you're in. Doesn't matter because we're all on Econ Lowdown. That's right, econlowdown.org. There's the link right there. The great personal finance education site run by the St. Louis Federal Reserve. We'll go ahead and log in using our student code and password. And let's take a look at personal finance term 6. We start off, we see that link for the Zoom class meeting. What is that? A couple days from now, Thursday, last day of the week this week, before we go on our little extended weekend for 4th of July, holiday weekend. So that's coming up in a couple days. As we scroll on down, we see everything we've been working on. And we've really been working on, there's been a progress here. First, we talked about, making choices about what you want to do with your life as an adult. And then figuring out, where do we go from here, right? Figuring out what you want to do after high school. Getting an education so that you can get a good job, right? So that you can invest in yourself, right? Paying for school, right? So that you can hopefully make good money, right? Remember this one, Cards, Cars, and Currency was talking about your paycheck and your net pay and your gross pay, right? Why do you get less money for net pay than you earn in gross pay? Because you got to pay your taxes. And we talked about how individual income tax works and how that changes from time to time. It changed most recently just a couple years ago with a new tax law. Filing your taxes is an annual thing that every adult has to do, and if you haven't already done it, if your family members haven't already done it, they got, 2 more weeks before the deadline this year, July 15th. So once you've, made that money, paid those taxes, right, the rest of your money that you have left over after that is your disposable income, money that you can use to spend on things that you need and want, right? And that's where budgeting comes in. And that's where we've moved into Budgeting 101. And when you're talking about your expenses, right, budgeting is all about income, the money you have to spend, versus expenses, the things you have to spend your money on, right? And for most people, we talked about this, the biggest individual monthly expense is housing expenses, and that gets to how much you expect to pay for your own place. Again, what do I mean by the biggest monthly expense? Well, if you're paying $300, $400, $500 a month, hopefully you don't have a bigger bill than that, right? Your phone bill might be between $50 and $100. Your electric bill might be $100. Gas bill might be, $50. Yeah, it all adds up. What else? You got food. How much you spend on food a month? Maybe a couple $100. But rent, mortgage, that's the biggest one, right? You might have a car payment that's a couple $100 a month. But rent, you're going to pay at least $300, $400, $500, if not more, $600 a month. for that. So it's a big expense, and so it's something you got to think about, but it's something you absolutely need. Everybody's got to have a place to live, right? And so we talked about finding a place, right? Finding a place to live. That was the article that we looked at yesterday, Renting Basics. And it had a multiple choice quiz, 10 questions. I took the quiz. It was pretty easy. And those of you that took the quiz, I think you'll agree. Everyone did very well on this quiz. The last reading Q&A we did, the one on individual income tax, that was a longer quiz. And it was harder, I'll admit. Some of those questions were tough. But these questions for this one, pretty straightforward. And I think that's going to be the case with the article we have for today, right? Which is this one, Smartphones and Budget Changes. We always know what the most recent assignment is because they're all the way at the bottom. So if you're looking for, what's the new assignments, if you're trying to keep up with assignments, scroll down to the bottom of your screen and see what's right above this link for the daily YouTube messages. And what's most recent, what was just put up this morning, is Smartphones and Budget Changes. Smartphones and Budget Changes. Again, it's another article, so let's take a look at this. Smartphones and Budget Changes. There's another quote. Yesterday we had a quote from, Ezra Koenig from Vampire Weekend. Today we have a Chinese proverb. A wise man adapts himself to circumstances as water shapes itself to the vessel that contains it. That's deep. That's deep. Smartphones. So what are they talking about? They're talking about how over time, how people allocate their budget, their expenses has changed, right? And smartphones has made a big change in that. About 30 years ago, right, no one had a smartphone. And 20 years ago, no one had a smartphone, right? And so that wasn't a part of the budget, right? The cell phone bill wasn't a part of the budget. What was part of the budget? A landline phone bill, right? Internet, Wi-Fi, that wasn't part of the budget. But we have to adapt, right? And so smartphones, spending on your phone, has become a bigger percent of our expenses. Food has gone down. It's become a smaller part of our expenses. It was 20% of people's income they were spending on food in 1950, right? By 2014, only 10%. So that's the good news, right? Food expenses have gone down. Phone expenses have gone up, right? And that's the point. We have to, like the proverb says, adapt, right? Adapt to these circumstances. So yeah, this article just gets into how budgets work, right? Disposable income, income and expenses, and how cell phones and smartphones have changed our lives. Not just, they've changed our lives in many different ways, but they've also changed our lives in how we have to budget our money, right? How we spend our money, how we spend our lives, right? But also, in some ways, it's cut back on some expenses. The number one expense that it's cut back on is, like I mentioned, landlines, right? Nobody has landlines anymore except for old people, because you don't need one, right? You got a smartphone. All right, so there we go. Sum it all up, the first mobile phones were designed only for making calls. These were replaced with an advanced cell phone, appropriately called the smartphone. With its capability to perform advanced technological tasks, the smartphone has been accepted for its convenience, as well as its ability to increase productivity. The cell phone revolution has changed both the way we interact with our world and our spending choices, and circumstances will continue to change. Technology will continue to bring new developments that will gradually become accepted as necessities and therefore change spending patterns. A deliberate adaptation to shifts in spending patterns is a step toward financial success. A recent study by U.S. Bank shows that only 41% of Americans use a budget. Only 41%? Perhaps this will change with more attention and application of the Chinese proverb, a wise man. So it finishes with the same proverb that it started. That's great. So let's take a look at the quiz. How many questions we got on this one? Multiple choice once again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ooh, and 1. Ooh, and some fill in the blanks. Ooh, nice. All right. Okay. Looks a little challenging. No worries, though. Take a couple days to work on it. If you have any questions or concerns, let me know. As always. Yeah, Take it easy. See you there. Peace.